Good morning, everybody. So this is Laura from Healthy Carnivore. I'm going to give a little background just in case somebody ventures on here who's never seen me before. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for over 22 years. I've been carnivore for over five and a half. Two and a half of those I've been lion diet, which is just ruminant meats. 28 years prior to that, I did keto. I started keto in 1991 and broke away from the standard American diet, which I'm sure has prevented many diseases. I had many issues already starting at 20, namely being going into diabetes, things like that. So I wanted to go over a recipe that I do. I have a candle. Look at that. This recipe will make about five candles this size. You can always make your own. You can put them in this is what I used to do, is a lot in like pint jars and give to family or friends for gifts. They love them. This one is pumpkin pie spice. Oh my gosh, it smells really good. Doesn't make me want to go eat pumpkin pie, but it does smell really good. Good morning, Karen. So this recipe is as easy, straightforward as it comes. So I'm going to give you the recipe. Hey, Brenda. Um, I'm going to give you the recipe. You can tweak it either direction. So the original recipe, I made a ton of candles. So it called for like 4 cups of this, and it was just I don't make batches that big anymore. I've been making a lot of these batches specifically for people. Today's scent that I'm doing is lavender. So I have the lavender oil that I make, um, the essential lavender oil that has wax on the outside of the bottle. And then that is actual lavender from a family member, Greta Wetzel. She lives over by Nauvoo, Illinois. She has wonderful lavender. And so she dries them, and then I strip the stems, and then I grind this up, and I put it into different things, but I'm going to put it into the candles. I've been trying to use less of it when I'm making the lotion and use more of the oil so it doesn't have like the bumps on it and stuff. Because then as that dries out, then you're like, well, there goes my lavender. So I'm doing more of the oil. So anyway, to get back, I will tell you the recipe that I'm doing today. And then I'm going to tell you the things you can use in place of that if you don't have it. The only thing that you absolutely are going to have for this recipe is you will need some beeswax. Now, my beeswax is local. I have several people who, are honeybee people. So I have been able to get a lot of that. You can do pellets, you can do, and these actually he makes into pellets. I have seen online, I think you can get organic pellets of the beeswax as well. Let's see. Brenda Foley. Oh, hi. On vacation, tickled to catch you live. Well, great. I'm glad you caught me live too. Let's see. Anyway, so easy recipe if you want to write it down. I did put it up in the description also. So what I'm going to do is it's going to be 2 cups of tallow, which if you do not do tallow, like say you don't have rendered tallow, you can do, I wrote it down. Where'd I put it? Oh, you can do coconut oil. Now, I would do a cup and a half of the coconut oil, not 2 cups. If you have tallow, if you have lard, which can you imagine if you had lard and you had like bacon scented candles, your husbands would love it. You would love it. Anyway, so that is something that you can do in place. You can do coconut oil. I'm sure you could do olive oil or avocado oil if that's something that you have as well. So that's something you could do in place of that. Like I said, it'd be 2 cups of that. And then I also do 2 cups of beeswax during really hot weather. Um, that's when I kind of start doing the 2 cups for 2 cups. Prior to that, it said 4 cups of tallow to 1 cup of beeswax. I found that that did not make very strong candles. If you're making them for your home, that may not be a big deal, especially if you're doing them into a jar. I use like these little silicone molds, and then I have organic wicks, and then just a little thing to keep it in place there. Um, it was okay, but to be able to ship these out to people, they needed to hold up and not take the shape of whatever they were smashed into in the mail. So I do the 2 to 2, 2 cups of the oil to 2 cups of the beeswax, and then 75 drops of essential oil. And then if you want to be fancy, like I'm going to put in actual pieces of the lavender. If there's something that you're doing, let's say you're doing vanilla candles and you have vanilla beans, get you I don't have it up here. I don't know where I don't know. My husband moved it on me. But you know the little grater like you would use for like nutmeg? I have one of those. And that's what I would use is scrape some of that in there. If you're doing a like cocoa scented, you could actually take cocoa and you could sprinkle it down into the candle, as prior to it being set. So what I do with these is if you'll see, I have saucepan there with water, and I have white vinegar in there because I have very hard water and it will calcify the outside of my Pyrex 4 cup device I have there. So I put it in there. I put both the beeswax and the oils in there. I let them melt. Then I take them out, and that's when I add in my essential oil, and then I'll add in my I'll probably wait to add in some of the lavender until it's actually over in my devices. And what I do is I let them set for 24 hours. So by tomorrow at like 9 o'clock, something like that, in the morning, you can take them out of the molds if you're doing them into like silicone molds. If you're not, and you're doing them into glass jars, it's no big deal, but I wouldn't put a lid on them until they are set. Otherwise, you build up moisture in there. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick while you guys are on here, just so you can kind of see how I do that. I'm going to try not to burn myself, right? We'll see how that goes. So this is rendered tallow. I'll just pour 1 cup. And this is just a little line below the 2nd cup mark, but that's fine. I'm not going to be too worried about it. Let's see. Open up this bag a little bit better. I think I'll actually use a measuring cup instead of my glass measuring cup. I don't like to get anything down in this. So I'll show you kind of what these look like from my neighbor. It's so cool in my little town. I actually have 2 people that do bees. It was amazing. So just little pellets. Okay. And like I said, I'm doing the 2 cups to 2 cups or really close. I was going to make deodorant today, but then there's a patient of mine, used to be a patient of mine, that I want to go see. He's either 93 or he may have had a birthday and turned 94. I can't remember. Um, it's been a year since I had him as a patient. So I use just like a butter knife to kind of stir that around, just because I like to make as little of a mess as I possibly can. Doesn't always work out. Oh, Karen, I did send you back an email again this morning, just so you know. And I'm going to put I should burn one of those today. I have apple cider, harvest scent, which harvest scent smells really good too. It's very much a fall scent, kind of spice, little bit of a pumpkin smell, not much, but it's just very spicy. Smells very good. I think I have a lemon candle still. I was going through the other day because somebody wanted to know what scents I had, and I think I still have. a couple lemon. And then what I do with the extra that's still in here, even though I have lotion on, is I like to, just because it's winter and I mean, it's not that bad today. I think it's only like 30, 34 degrees, 36 degrees is what we're supposed to get to. We'll see. I don't trust that. The weatherman is as accurate as I'm not going to say. I'm going to try not to be political today. Going to try to behave myself. Anyway, yeah. So the essential oil of her lavender smells so good, so good. All right. Let's see if you guys have any questions. I have some beeswax here. Let's see. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you got my message, Karen. And yeah, I mean, use it up. I have put in an order to get two more big bags, and I think he sells it. I don't remember if it was 5 pounds at a time or something like that. But last year, like I only got 2 bags from him because he ran out just that quick, and he had quite a bit. But I put it out on Facebook, like, does anybody have beeswax? And he was the first one to respond, and I'm like, literally, he's across the tracks down, like, I can see his house. And I was like, "What?" And then I was like, "Oh, you're the person that's got the honeybees that get on my husband's peach trees and our garden and stuff." And I was like, "There you go." And then I went over and kind of seen how he does his area. Our trees have nothing sprayed on them ever, other than what falls from the sky, that we can't really stop. But we don't do anything like that. The neighbors don't do anything like that. And I forget what he told me. They're American bees. He has a colony of American honeybees. And then I think he said Europe. He's got a colony of European bees. They do not mix. Like, I mean, they're okay to be like in two separate hives, but he's not had them breed, like mix up with each other. So he said this is American made wax. And I think the European bees, I thought he said did not produce as much of the wax. So, but anyway, when we were going back and forth on Facebook about that, man, everybody else saw it and they went and bought all the beeswax out from underneath of me. I only just got the 2 bags. So let's see. Brenda says I have some rosemary and lavender tallow for moisturizer. Let's see, has lasted a long time. Oh yeah, it does. Um, so I have a couple people that I will make like 4-ounce containers of like my tallow lotion, depending on what scent they want or whatever, and send out to them. Some of them have really super dry skin, um, or have like psoriasis, have like skin plaques and stuff like that, eczema, um, stuff like that. So they use a lot more than what I think like I do. But I mean, I ate half a pound of ribeye fat this morning with maybe 2 or 3 ounces of hamburger. So I think mine kind of just comes from the inside out. So I don't require near as much of that as I used to. Um, it does take a few minutes to get everything to kind of melt down. I think I need to add more water to that. So what are you guys going to be doing for today? What plans do you guys have? I actually have today and tomorrow off work. We don't work Fridays anyway. Um, but I have all this vacation that I went to Keto Palooza in October and used up like, I don't know, maybe 2 days of vacation that way. And then I used up some for deer season, but I had a ton of it left. All of us at the agency did because it's so hard to take time off during the year. And really, this is the hardest time to take off, not necessarily because of holidays, but inevitably, this time of year is the time of year that like everybody gets their joints replaced, that's getting joint replacements because it's the end of the year. They've met their deductibles, whether they're on Medicare, whether they're private insurance, through their work or whatever. They've met their deductibles, so they're trying to get that in. And so we've had a lot of that. So it's so hard to be able to get time off. And you feel bad. I mean, I have some patients that our agency accepts Medicare and certain insurances, but a lot of patients, Medicare will only cover home health for about 3 to 4 weeks unless you have like a permanent indwelling Foley catheter to drain urine, things like that. They don't let us stay in the home very long. And so I have had some patients in the area that have opted to be private pay through the agency, not me just out on my own. Although I probably could do that completely and just do it that way, but I work through an agency, and so they do that. And so I have quite a few that I do that way. And so you kind of have ownership to them. I feel, you bond with your patients that you take care of, and when you take a week off, it's like, who's going to see them? And it's like the other nurse is great, but we're not the same, and they're kind of used to my ways of doing stuff. And I'm brutally honest, and they like my craziness. They think I'm crazy eating the way I do, some of them, but they like my brand of crazy they like. And so it's just hard to take time off. But that's always been a lesson for me to learn, is to take care of myself so that you can take care of others. Let's see, Brenda Foley. Brenda Foley says, I want some. Oh, you're a quilter. So Karen says, let's see. Oh, gym, doctor, review labs. That'll be interesting. Pick up coconut oil at small nutritional place. Therapy on legs and back. Well, that's good. Therapy is good. I don't know if after you do therapy, Karen, I don't know if you have a bathtub, but something really good to do after therapy, for one, is to do a cold bath, just because it helps with inflammation. But if you don't want to do a cold bath, you can always do an Epsom salt bath too, and that really does help. Brenda says, I'm a quilter, so many projects to work on. Also, do deep cleaning this time every year. Yeah, I did do that in my prep room in the first week of November ish. I went through my prep room and I did what they call facing, where the stuff that's the oldest you make sure is up front. So I did that with a lot of these supplies. I still have all of these supplies in case it ever comes to it, because it kind of seems like the entities are pushing to make sure bad happens before next month. And so I still have all that stuff, but I'm not near as concerned, like I have to have more of this right now. I have all the things that I would need in there. But anyway, that's what I did in November. I kind of redid the room, got it kind of set up for that, and we're using like the older canned meats, the older canned butter, stuff like that, just different things. We're utilizing that, and doing the new. Ooh, ow, ow, ow. I am famous for burning myself, so I'm going to be careful. All right, so let's see. Karen said, did my first big batch of tri-tip fat, need to render again to clean up and a bit more. Want to make whipped tallow. Yes. So I'm not sure if you're doing the water, like where you put it in the fridge, tallow rendering, or if you're doing it just on the stove. Because usually on the stove, I only do it once, and then I pour it through a sieve. So kind of like this, but just the larger one of that, and cheesecloth. And that usually gets everything out of there and gets rid of that smell. But I think that makes a really pretty stuff. And then when it comes to whipping it for tallow, like if you're going to do lotion, I don't know if you're just going to do whipped tallow or if you're wanting to make it into a lotion. But if so, I would recommend having some really good organic olive oil, some castor oil, jojoba oil, something like that. mix that together, and then you set it in the fridge and kind of let it start to set up a little bit. And then, like, I use just a hand mixer with the whipping thing on it. Um, and you just whip for 5, 10 minutes, and usually that should be enough. So this is almost all melted. That melted pretty fast. Of course, with my dangerous gas stove, I it warms up very fast. I love that. I really never ever want to do an electric stove. So we can all hope, right? All right. If you guys do have any questions, um, if there's something you want to see me make here live, I'm trying to think. I know somebody had asked for something, and I don't. It got a little crazy in November. So anyway, and then the other thing that I want to kind of let you guys know, every Monday I go on and do educational type stuff on my channel now. No longer doing the other program, and I'm going to continue to do that. But I do want to start doing some interviews now. I mean, I will interview some of the doctors, but and that's great that are carnivore or ketogenic. But I really want to start trying to interview some people that are out there. And last year, one of the people that I did an interview with, he was like, "I've only been doing this 6 months. I don't have anything for anybody." And I'm like, "You absolutely do, because people need to see whether you're just cleaning up your diet and doing single ingredient foods. That is still so much better than the standard American diet. You're improving so much." And so I'm like, they do need to see that. They need to hear what struggles you've had. And maybe it's something that they're going through that then they can, relate to. So I think it's really good to do that. And especially, you have somebody on like at their 6 months, and then you have somebody on that same person on maybe at a year, and what other improvements, what other benefits have they seen, things like that. I think that's really good. Or like me, I'm not a quilter. I can't quilt. I also cannot knit. Anything that takes like the two, I cannot do. I crochet. And so I have so many lap blankets that I have made for patients that I'm running out of places to put them. um, but even that kind of stuff, highlighting what are some of your hobbies that you do along with this, because I think people think, oh, you're a carnivore, you're keto, you're a ketovore, you're just a weirdo. Well, we're not. We're normal everyday people, but I want other people to kind of see that. Okay, so Karen said about her rendered tallow, she did on the stove, poured through cheesecloth, but still, oh, it was still browner than you wanted it to be. Okay, and I'm glad you have all the oils. So yes, well, you saw the color of my tallow when it started. It will look that way in the melted form. But if you see it this is just plain, this has not had anything done to it. Once it hardens, I mean, it's white. So that's at least how mine did. Um, so I don't know. But I mean, and you can do it a second time. Um, but really, I always base mine like smell. I don't want it to smell. I mean, it's fine if it smells like a ribeye. I don't care, but a lot of people don't want to walk around smelling like ribeye. Um, so what I do is I have done it a second time. That other one, and no shade on anybody. I've seen a lot of people do like the water bath method of that. I don't want to do something 3 times. I just don't. And I mean, it's like a long time because you've got to, like, I think I seen somebody do it in a crock pot, which kudos to them. I mean, they put time into it. But it was like 3 times of putting it in the fridge overnight, letting it completely harden, or even a couple days, and then put it back, break it all up and put it back in, scrape off the bottom and do it. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I try to find the shortest path to get to where I want to get. Um, I'm gonna take this out of here and hopefully not burn my set. All right. So I'm gonna show you what that mixture looks like now that it's all melted together. And also, You can see just the color of that. Okay. Very golden, kind of like honey. And yet there is the candle from it. So it does get that white color. And especially when you're whipping, the first couple times years ago when I made tallow lotion, it still had a little bit of a yellow cast to it. And I didn't really realize until I started doing it in bulk, to put out on my website, that the longer you whipped it, the whiter it got. So, because I was doing it by hand with a whisk, literally this. And then I was like, oh, I've got a whisk attachment for my hand mixer. I think it's like a Hamilton Beach mixer that's like 32 years old. It'll probably die one of these days. Um, but the longer you whip it, or if you have like a stand mixer and you put it in there, it gets really, really white. It gets beautiful. So I think you'll be fine. Let's see. Karen says hair serum going to check wellness. Mama's recipe too. Last night's live was good. Oh, well, thank you. Russ is a hoot, and he's a good singer. Holy crap. I used to be able to sing, and then I did years of inhaler for my asthma. And back then, they didn't tell us to like rinse your mouth out and spit it out and, to kind of keep that stuff cleared off the back of your throat. And it's jet propellant is what is in that. And it's a dry powder that's like helps force kind of the same thing that's in your airbags, but it helps force that medicine there. So they came out with these spacers that you could do with your inhaler on one end of it and do, and it collects a lot of that stuff. So much of it doesn't get back there, but they didn't tell us that. I had probably been doing an inhaler for my asthma since I was 13, maybe somewhere in that range is when I got diagnosed with asthma. Um, which I don't have to take a rescue inhaler at all. It's been so long. Every one of my rescue inhalers is so far out of date. My asthma doctor this year said, "Do you want me to fill more?" And I was like, I said, "I still have, I mean, I have 100 at least." And she says, "They're good for 10 years after their expiration date." I said, "I'm fully aware of that because we send them, abroad." Um, like my aunt was a missionary and we would send all the expired stuff with them and it worked. So I'm like, it's not really expired. So not saying that some of the efficacy may not go down, maybe it does, but I don't need those inhalers, so I'm not worried about it. So that's me anyway. I'm gonna see if I can turn this, get this to where you guys can see what I'm actually doing on this. So I'll put it here. I think you guys can at least see that. I just don't want to burn the heck out of myself. Let's see. It's in the fridge. Looks brown to me. That's odd that it would still look brown. So yeah, you can maybe just put it in the pan and put it on extremely low, just to where it kind of has that little bit of a starting to bubble and let it go for, 15, 20 minutes that way. And then strain it again. And then this is what I would do. It's easiest to, if you're going to make a lotion or a whipped tallow, start right there. Just while it's melted, so don't have to let it set up and then wait. You have to set it in the fridge for a while to let it start to set up, and then you get it out and you whip and whip and whip and whip. So, like I said, if you've got a big stand mixer, I have one. I use it to like I have a grinder attachments what we ran our deer through with ribeye fat. That's what I mixed with all the deer this year. I did put kidneys in. I only did half of the liver in all of that deer meat because I don't want too much vitamin A. I've done that to myself last year. I did way too much vitamin A, too much liver, and had the hair loss to prove it and the eye flashes. So, not doing that to myself again. Let's see. Karen says, I haven't used my asthma inhaler for years. My asthma is cold. Oh, sinus related. Yeah, my asthma, they told me I had all three types. They said I have allergy induced, asthma induced, and weather. So, like going from hot to cold or from like the factory I used to work in before I went to nursing school was a food factory. So it went from like super frozen, like frozen, to the next department was humid, wet constantly, and about 75, 80 degrees. Next department was like the shipping department, which was bone dry. I mean, and it could be all different temps back there because, you're open with rail cars, you're open with semi trailers backed up, and it could be 20 degrees and it could be 120 degrees. It just depended, but it was so super dry. My asthma was really bad then. I was a union steward, and so I could be from one end of that depart. Was all over that. One day, I walked over 7.5 miles as a union steward, plus doing my job. So yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, and I'm glad you haven't used your inhalers. That's wonderful. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing here. So this bottle looks like hell, okay? But that is my lavender oil that I have on my website that I make. And as you can tell, the last time I was making candles, I burned myself and I jumped and it poured on there. So anyway, so I'm going to do it says 75 drops. So that is I'm not going to count, okay? I'm going to be honest. I kind of know what 75 drops looks like in the droppers. So it's about 3 droppers worth, and I'm actually going to do 4 because I want these to be really strong. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of this in for the mixing part. And then I'm going to add some probably in about 15 minutes after the oil is poured into my little molds. I will sprinkle some on and allow it to kind of work its way down through there. I just don't want it all to end up in the bottom. So I let it cool for just a little bit. When you start to see the bottom of the candles, whether you're doing it in a jar, it's probably easier to see than through these, is you can kind of tell that it's turning more white. Then it's okay to go ahead and start adding. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to do 2 really big pinches like that. Oh, smells so good. If you like lavender or vanilla, you could do this with, and like I said, take vanilla bean and just grate it. Oh boy. You could do that with chocolate if somebody wants chocolate candles. And then I always take a good smell to make sure that it smells really good. This is one that when it dries, it doesn't, or hardens, it doesn't get stronger. Now, I have found with some of my lotions, like with lemon, I have to be careful not to over add lemon because if it smells strong enough lemon wise when it's in the liquid form, as I let it harden up and then whip it, it way strong. So I kind of have to back off of like bergamot, lemon. Um, Brighton is another essential oil that I get from Melaleuca. Very citrusy. I really like that one. I think I may make deodorant later today or tomorrow. I don't know. But it smells really good too, and I think it would be a great deodorant scent. I also thought about trying to do cucumber and mint because years, probably 2 years ago, I don't remember if it was Native. It was one of the cleaner deodorant people. I wanted to smell different things, so I ordered like these little travel size ones, and they had a cucumber mint that smelled so good. But then, of course, I read the back, and I was like, they've they're putting bad ingredients in. And then I went out on Google. Well, actually, I went out on DuckDuckGo. I don't use Google, but I went out on DuckDuckGo search engine, and they had been bought. And who else had been bought at the same time? I think Loom or Lumi is still owned, but they came out with a deodorant antiperspirant this year. And I went out and was just kind of reading on it, and it has aluminum in it. So I emailed them. I'm like, you're not natural like you say because you added aluminum bromide, to this. And I'm like, the whole idea of you doing this natural was to avoid that. And I'm like, now it's in there. And the email I got back was that was the only way to counteract perspirations. Well, if your perspiration doesn't stink, unless you have horrible perspiration. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not putting aluminum in my armpits next to my lymphatic. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it. I think it's very dangerous. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So Karen Harrington says Eden Gardens has some new Christmas scents. I bet would be good in these candles. Yeah, and I think that's who I got. The Harvest Spice, the apple cider. I'll have to look. I thought that was their name. It may not be, but they were organic. And then the pumpkin pie or the pumpkin spice. I don't remember which one it what it is, but I think that's who it was. And they like I have a ton of candles. The harvest scent is probably, like I said, my favorite because I like that spicy, so almost like clove spice, like a ginger snap, maybe oatmeal raisin cookie spice smell to it, but I it does not trigger me to want to go find something sweet. Some people have said I can't do scented candles that smell like some of these items because it does make them, crave stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's horrible. I don't have that. I'm glad I don't have that. Um, I just kind of stir this for a few minutes, kind of let it cool a little bit, and then I pour in the molds. I get rid of the white vinegar. Try to get these set over here. And I try to, my wicks are not always perfectly in the middle, but I do try. And this is the craziest thing. So I bought some more of these molds from the same company that I bought these. And they were so cute because they had honeybees. They showed the like the finished product with this honeybee up on top. It was so cute. I was like, yes. Well, then when I bought it, the honeybees in the bottom of the mold. I don't know how that's supposed to work when the wick goes in the bottom, the little silver, and the stem comes up. I, I don't know. Anyway, I also emailed them. They're probably like, this lady's crazy, but I'm just like, how did you get the honeybee to be on the top when you guys have it turned like I was like, I don't know how you do it, but whatever, right? I don't know. So those were kind of wasted because there's really not much I can do with them for that. But I may do some like large body soaps and I may use that. So that I may do. I hate for something to go to waste like that. So, all right. So I'm going to kind of show you right here. Just pouring in. All right. And then our next one. This one is probably my favorite um, because it looks like a honeycomb when you're done. I know it's hard to see. But anyway, there's little bubbles and it looks like a honeycomb when you're done. It's probably my favorite one of the molds. That one being so short. Okay, I can handle touching that now. So I kind of filled them 3/4 of the way to begin with, maybe a little over 3/4 of the way. And then I have to get a toothpick for that one. I ran out of those little popsicle sticks or whatever because I don't want that to be laying over. It's going to be a brat. Okay. Some of these I don't, and if you guys are using silicone molds, I don't do it all the way up to the top because that does make it kind of hard for you to get, your candles out. Um, Not impossible, just a little harder. I may have to get another candle thing out because, yep, I am. Okay, I'm going to set this back in the hot water because I have enough to do 6 candles. So, back on that, with the amount of ingredients, it actually will make 6. So I'll have to go get a different container. I do have these little teeny mason jars. They're so cute with the lids. Oh, actually, I had one that I'd made myself. I think it was just vanilla scent. And when I did my pumpkin, which I would have loved to have shown you guys on YouTube, but it would have been taken down because it was political. Anyway, it just had a few letters cut into my pumpkin. And I put that candle in there, put it out there the night that we were doing trick or treat, which I handed out candles, sticker or not candles. I handed out stickers and then glow stick necklaces. My husband put a few things of candy bars in there, and I am happy to say not one candy bar was taken. And I didn't hand the stuff out. I handed the bucket, kind of like this, and they picked what they wanted. And nobody took a candy bar. None of the kids. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm shocked. But anyway, I forgot to blow that candle out that night. And it's only, well, it's about this height. So that little mason jar. And when I got up in the morning, it was dark out and I went outside to ground and I'm like, what is that? And I was like, oh crap. I still had like that much of the candle. So it had been in there at least 10 hours burning. And I thought, well, that's amazing. So I know that they last a long time. Plus, they're really good to clean out the air. The organic beeswax is kind of shown to be like a purifier. So that's excellent. I was like, yes, ma'am, I will do that, and keep utilizing those. Because my husband has a weird nose. Essential oils, especially the ones that I make myself, like the lavender, things like that, doesn't seem to cause him to have a reaction. But ones like Yankee candles, which I used to love and had a ton of those, that fake fragrance in there, he can't do. And I mean, he'll dry heave, which is funny for a minute, but then after a while, it's like, okay, I'm kind of getting annoyed because that's how nurses are. We have no compassion when we get home. And I was just like, seriously? Which is why, I mean, I didn't have like really good smelling deodorant for a long time until I started making my own. Um, don't do hairspray anyway, but any scents like that, I mean, you couldn't spray anything in the bathroom, and like body soaps I couldn't do like the store bought ones, which was fine. I was making my own. But if I was like at a hotel and forgot to take mine, which I never do now, but at the time I would forget, then I'd use whatever they had. And yeah, he'd be dry heaving. He couldn't even come in the bathroom. I mean, it's pretty bad. Let's see. Da-da. Candle and oh, good idea. Yeah, Native was bought out. Yes. Yes, they were bought out. Um, and I'm trying to think. There were like, if you look at all the scents that they have, just, click on the part that shows the ingredients, be careful and just read those. There were some that I think were still clean, but there were some that were not. It's another one of those where you really have to read more ingredients. Let's see. Brenda says, I was a campfire girl, about 10 years old. We made candles. Oh, cool. Added ice, made the prettiest candles when the ice melted. Oh, can't remember how we did it. I'm going to look that up. That would be cool. Hmm, that'd be interesting. I don't, there has to be. So I wonder if it just made it flicker more when that would get to the part where the water was, down inside. That's interesting. I'm going to look that up because I think that would be cool. Anything unique I like. So yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna let this kind of melt for a second, get it back up to what I would want. I'm gonna go get another one of those jars and fill that. And then yep, I told him I would be there at 9 o'clock. So I'm gonna go see our retired guy, our elderly gentleman, take him his Christmas card, and I bought him a wallet. It's so cute. It has his name stamped into it. It's so cute. I can't wait. His wallet, the last time I was there, looked like it was gonna fall apart, and he's like the old style threefold. And he does have like his wife's pictures and pictures of their family and stuff like that. So he still wanted, his wallet has like where you can put the pictures. Like who needs those anymore for us because everybody keeps it on their phone. But he does have all those. And so I was like, oh, I've got to find one. So I found somebody who makes their own, like from leather, like they do it at I think it was down in Missouri at Rutledge, and they do a flea market down there. And I ordered it for him, so I'm excited. I can't wait to see. And he loves snowmen. I made up some hand soap for him, and I put in the thing. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna finish up this one, clean up really quickly, because I can't leave it that way, and then I'm gonna head out. So I think that is it for today. So I appreciate you guys for coming on. Don't forget to watch Monday afternoon, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time is what time I do mine. And I have several weeks worth of stuff that I'm going to be going over each week. But I did one this week on fasting. Somebody had asked about that and some other stuff like that. So I always try to do some educational, some kind of learning stuff for people. And I love questions. So with this, if there's anybody that likes to make their own things, share this video out with them. It's something so simple. I mean, you saw that. It was like three ingredients, really, basically, is all you have to do for this. And most people either have coconut oil, and it's not that hard to get the organic wax. And the pellets, I do think I like the best. He had some that were like shavings, and I was like, I don't know, they might have been fine. I was just being particular. And then when I went back, I was like, I maybe will get a bag of those. They were all sold out, so everything was gone. So this year, I've already put my order in. So I'm first in line, I think. So you guys have a great day. And as I always say on my channel, meet, heat, eat, and repeat. You guys have a wonderful Wednesday.